Histamine 2 blockers, or H2 blockers, refers to a class of drugs that are used to treat acid-related GI disorders. Histamine is a chemical compound that's primarily stored in mast cells, basophils, and certain neurons in the central nervous system. It is released in response to injury, allergic reactions, immune triggers, and for digestion. Once released, histamine can bind to its receptor. There are 4 different histamine receptors, and depending on which one the histamine binds to, we will get a different response. We will identify these receptors as H1, H2, H3, and H4. H1 receptors are found in the endothelial cells, smooth muscles, and the brain. H2 is found in the stomach and parietal cells. H3 is found in the brain. And lastly, H4 is found on immune cells. H1 is known for its role during an allergic reaction, inflammation, or injury. When histamine binds to the H3 receptors, it promotes wakefulness when active. And lastly, when histamine binds to the H4 receptor, it leads to chemotaxis, which attracts immune cells to the site of an infection or allergy. H2 receptors are found in the stomach lining, and their main function is to regulate gastric acid secretion. This begins even before the food reaches the mouth. So when you see or smell food, the brain starts to prepare the digestive system. This is known as the cephalic phase of digestion. During this phase, the parietal cells in the stomach start secreting some acid even before the food arrives. The vagus nerve also stimulates parietal cells to release histamine. Parietal cells are specialized cells found in the lining of the stomach, and primary function is acid secretion. When the food enters the stomach, it is called the gastric phase, and this is when H2 receptors become really important and acid production peaks. Then we have the intestinal phase, and in this phase there is inhibition of gastric acid secretion to prevent excess acidity in the small intestine. The mechanism of the acid production is as follows. Now, there are several specialized cells in the stomach lining that are important for acid secretion and also protection of the stomach acid from the stomach lining itself. Now, if this is the lumen of the stomach here, then these are the specialized cells lining the lumen. There are many specialized cells here, but I will not cover all of them in this video. I've already covered them in detail in the video above, proton pump inhibitors pharmacology. But we will focus on the parietal cells, which are represented by PC in the orange, and gastrin cells or G cells represented by GC in the green. And then we have the enterochromaffin-like cells or ELC in the blue. During the gastric phase of digestion, when the food is in the stomach, gastrin cells detect the presence of the food and release gastrin. Gastrin stimulates the enterochromaffin-like cells in the stomach lining to release histamine. Histamine will bind to H2 receptors on the parietal cells, and this will activate the proton pumps on the surface of the parietal cells. These proton pumps are hydrogen potassium ATPase, and they're on the apical membrane and pump out hydrogen ions into the stomach lumen in exchange for potassium into the cell. And then potassium and chloride are moved into the lumen, which would then create hydrochloric acid or HCl. The acid helps break down food. It also activates pepsinogen into pepsin, which is an enzyme required for the digestion of proteins, and it also kills most bacteria and pathogens in the food. H2 blockers competitively bind to the H2 receptors on the parietal cells and prevent histamine from binding and activating that receptor. As a result, the proton pumps are not activated, and we get less acid secreted into the stomach. Because of this effect, the H2 blockers are FDA indicated for the following acid-related GI disorders. First is the gastroesophageal reflux disease, or GERD, where the lower esophageal sphincter, which normally protects the esophagus from the stomach acid, is not functioning properly because it's too weak, it relaxes inappropriately, or overwhelmed by high gastric pressure. This unfortunately leads to acid moving into the esophagus, damaging the epithelium, causing heartburn and esophagitis. Next is peptic ulcer disease, and it is characterized by mucosal defects or ulcers in the stomach or front part of the duodenum, mainly caused by H. pylori infections and chronic use of NSAIDs. If it's due to H. pylori, H2 blockers are not indicated, but the proton pump inhibitors are. If it's due to NSAIDs, then both the H2 blockers and the proton pump inhibitors are indicated. NSAIDs lead to ulcers because the gastric mucosa is protected by a mucus bicarbonate layer that neutralizes acid at the surface. There are also signaling molecules known as prostaglandins, which stimulate mucus and bicarbonate secretion. It maintains mucosal blood flow and it promotes epithelial repair. NSAIDs inhibit the COX enzymes, which are important for the production of prostaglandins. So this inhibition causes a decrease in prostaglandins, leading to a decrease in mucus, a decrease in bicarbonate, a decreased mucosal blood flow, and impaired healing. Next, we have Zollinger-Ellison syndrome, which is a condition caused by a gastrin-secreting tumor, also known as a gastrinoma, and is usually found in the pancreas or duodenum. It leads to excessive gastric acid production, causing recurrent and severe peptic ulcers. We also use the H2 blockers off-label for stress ulcers. So stress ulcers are acute erosions or ulcers that form in the stomach or proximal duodenum, usually in critically ill patients. In patients with severe illnesses, there is a decreased blood flow to the GI mucosa, leading to ischemia and mucosal injury. Lastly, we use the H2 blockers for functional dyspepsia, which occur when there are no structural abnormality related to the pathophysiology, but there are symptoms that are acid related. Examples of H2 blockers are listed below. Please note that Ranitidine or Zantac was removed from the US and Canada markets in 2020 after a contaminant known as N-nitrosyl-dimethylamine (NDMA) was found in it. This is a known carcinogen. Side effects of the H2 blockers include headache, which may be due to the H2 receptor blockade in the brain, and it's usually self-limiting but can be relieved with Tylenol. Diarrhea or constipation because of the changes in the GI motility due to the inhibition of the acid. Dizziness because of the ability to penetrate the CNS, and even confusion, especially in elderly patients on Cimetidine. B12 deficiencies may be seen because gastric acid is needed to release B12 from food. And this is seen in H2 blockers and PPIs, but is more common with the PPIs. Hypomagnesemia is due to reduced absorption in the intestines, again more common with the PPIs. Iron deficiency because acid is needed to reduce Fe3+ or ferric iron to Fe2+ or ferrous iron for absorption. Increased risk of fractures because there will be a decrease in calcium absorption due to the low acid, leading to impaired bone mineralization, again seen in both but more prominent with chronic PPI use. We may also see an increased risk of enteric infections like C. diff, and this is because the decreased acid barrier allows pathogens to survive in the GI tract. Increased risk of infections like pneumonia because of the decreased acidity, leading to microorganisms to survive and colonize the stomach. In the case of pneumonia, microaspiration of gastric or oropharyngeal secretions containing these microorganisms into the lungs can occur. This will lead to aspiration pneumonia or even community-acquired pneumonia. Lastly, let's cover some clinical pearls and interesting considerations of the H2 blockers. So gynecomastia or impotence is seen mainly with cimetidine because of its ability to bind to androgen receptors and block the action of testosterone and dihydrotestosterone. This prevents normal male hormone signaling in target tissues like breast tissues, prostate, and reproductive organs. This results in estrogen effects becoming more dominant, leading to breast tissue growth, reduced libido, and erectile dysfunction. Drug-drug interactions, specifically with cimetidine. As you can see, cimetidine is the problematic one. Anyways, it's a strong CYP1A2, 2C9, 2D6, and 3A4 inhibitor, which can affect drugs like phenytoin and warfarin. All H2 blockers are renally excreted, so accumulation can occur in renal dysfunction. So you always want to check the patient's renal function and dose adjust as needed. H2 blockers are best for nocturnal acid suppression, unlike during meals that stimulate acid through acetylcholine and gastrin. Nighttime acid is mainly due to histamine released from the enterochromaffin-like cells. Lastly, tolerance can develop with chronic use and is due to the body's ability to compensate by increasing histamine release and upregulating other pathways like gastrin and acetylcholine to stimulate the acid secretion. Parietal cells may become less sensitive to the H2 receptor blockade. This results in progressively reduced acid suppressant effects, particularly noticeable after 2 weeks of continuous use. It is not ideal as a chronic monotherapy for conditions requiring sustained acid suppression. This limits the H2 blockers' role in long-term maintenance therapy, so PPIs are preferred in those cases. H2 blockers are good for short-term use, so for example, for functional dyspepsia, mild GERD, or nighttime symptoms. And that will be the end of this video. I hope you learned a thing or two. Feel free to leave any comment below. Hit the like button and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching this video and take care.